Welcome to the Member for a Day podcast. I'm your host, Eric Sedrance, and today we have a very special guest and good friend of mine, Nancy Henderson, who has a very unique role. She is both the Chief Teaching Officer as well as the President of the LPGA Foundation. Nancy, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Well, thanks for having me, Eric. I see
Nancy,
you kind of have your LPGA hoodie on. I can just see the top of it. Yeah, way to represent.
come on. I mean, I knew it wasn't like quite up to the standards of dress code, but I had to wear it for today's chat.
Can't beat the hoodie.
All right, so I want to talk about you first, Nancy, because I just did some research and I just had no idea of some of your accomplishments. So let's just start from the beginning. How did you first get introduced to the game of golf?
Well, it was easy. I grew up in a time where Nancy Lopez won 5 times in a row and 9 times in a year, and my name was Nancy, and I wanted to be Nancy Lopez, so got inspired by Nancy and played golf as a junior, played collegiately, played a little bit on the LPGA Tour, but realized very quickly that there's only one and only Nancy Lopez.
So you, though, have quite the golfing resume yourself. So I looked this up. You've competed in 2 U.S. Women's Opens. You've won more than 300 tournaments throughout your amateur and professional career. And maybe most amazing of all is you've made 14 hole-in-ones. Is that correct? Have you made more now?
That is correct. I had my first hole-in-one when I was 8, and I had my last hole-in-one about a year and a half ago. So
Holy cow. So I was going to say, are there any stories from either one of your 300 wins or 14 hole-in-ones that stand out that you'd want to share?
Well, people always want to talk about the 14 hole-in-ones. The wins are one thing, but I had my first one as I said, when I was 8, and probably my favorite hole-in-one was not really a hole-in-one. U.S. Open qualifying at the Broadmoor in Colorado Springs, and hit my first shot out of bounds on a par 3, walked back, and actually hit the next ball into the hole. So that helped me qualify for the U.S. Women's Open. So I've had more hole-in-ones because that didn't technically count as a hole-in-one. That was a par.
So I always refer to that as the Freddie Couples hole-in-one, but apparently that should be the Nancy Henderson hole-in-one.
Absolutely, but they all count, and hole-in-ones are a little bit luck and skill. So I've always considered myself fortunate.
I think in your case it's probably 90% skill and 10% luck, but I appreciate your humbleness, Nancy.
Thanks for that.
So I want to know what sort of the aha moment for you was that led you to sort of shift from competition to your current role now of Chief Teaching Officer and President of the LPGA Foundation?
Well, as I said, I realized that I was good at golf, but I was never going to be Nancy Lopez. And as I was having that transition of player, I decided that I wanted to get into the business of golf. And when I talked to people, they said, as a female, you will never really get to head professional director of golf kind of level, because at the time, and still today, the majority of the professionals are males. And of course, that made me want to do it more. So I was one of the first female directors of golf in the Orlando area, and had the opportunity to work not only at LPGA International, the home course of the LPGA, but to work in headquarters overseeing our teaching and club professionals. And I just wanted to make sure that every woman had an opportunity to pursue their dreams through golf and not have the kind of barriers that sometimes come across to women in golf.
Yeah. So you became the president of the LPGA Foundation in 2010. So I'm just going to drop a couple stats. I have a lot of stats for you because all of this is incredible to me. At the time when you came in, the LPGA and USGA girls golf program had around approximately 170 sites and only 5,000 girls participating. What I found is currently those numbers, which they probably are higher now, have increased to 600 sites and 120,000 girls engaged in the game every year. And just last year, the program passed 1 million participants all time. Like, when you hear those numbers, what do you think about?
I say wow, right? Like I raised my hand to take over the foundation as well. And I did that because I knew the way we were going to grow girls golf was to get our LPGA certified professionals to raise their hand to host and to basically facilitate our girls golf program. So that connection, that synergy between our female teaching pros and basically wanting to provide opportunity for girls. We had so many of our professionals. We have over 2,000 certified professionals from 23 different countries. And for them to raise a hand and say, hey, I want to do something for girls, specifically for girls. And that's really what catapulted the growth. And then, we've aligned with some all girls organizations like the Girl Scouts and Girls on the Run and other that really helped us scale very quickly. So that's really been our strategy, and we wanted to make sure that every little girl had that opportunity to try golf in an all girls environment.
Yeah. So, Nancy, I would assume that pretty much every one of our listeners has heard of the LPGA, but I imagine a lot of them aren't really familiar with the LPGA Foundation. So, I'm curious to know, like, can you give us sort of a 30,000-foot level overview of the foundation and its relevant programs?
Yeah, absolutely. The foundation started in 1989, and it really started because the players wanted a way to give back to a player who was having a hard time. So Heather Farr had breast cancer at the time, and the players wanted to help her. And there wasn't a philanthropic arm of the LPGA, so that's really how it started, was to provide financial assistance to players. And since then, it's grown from financial assistance, which we still do, to scholarships, to our LPGA USGA girls golf program. We also have LPGA leadership academies. We have our LPGA Amateur Golf Association. So lots of different parts to the LPGA Foundation. But really, we're all about empowering, inspiring, and transforming lives through the game of golf, whether that's for girls going to college, whether that's for girls taking up the game, or for women who really want to enjoy golf in a female-only environment.
Nancy, what makes girls golf special and unique?
Yeah, that's an easy answer. Girls golf is specific for girls, and when we've found when we keep girls with other girls that they stay in the game longer. So, girls golf, we first and foremost teach girls the game of golf, but then through golf we teach them life skills specific to girls. So, I'm sure a lot of people out there might be familiar with First Tee. First Tee's 9 core values, all about honesty, integrity, respect, things that boys probably need more than girls. What girls need is confidence, self-esteem, finding their own voice, all of those things. So it's golf, but it's life skills that really help girls on and off the course.
I never thought about that. So you're saying that truly to make girls, women in golf succeed, they need to be taught in a different way than boys.
They need to be taught in a comfortable, safe space. So what happens is, and I was one of those girls, you sign up for a junior program, there's 10 in the program, 8 boys, 2 girls. I was the girl that stayed to beat the boys, but the other girl ran for the hills because it wasn't a comfortable spot for her to learn golf. So if you keep girls with girls, they're in a much more comfortable, safe environment where they can be themselves and, talk about the color of their shoelaces. But it's really all about that community and that connection and the friendships developed through golf.
Yeah. Nancy, I'm sure you have a lifetime of memories, of stories you can share, but are there any sort of moments, anecdotes, stories that stand out to you as sort of one where you stood back and said, yep, this is why we do what we do?
Yeah, there's so many. You said we're celebrating our 1 millionth girl. As part of that campaign, we went back and identified a few girls who had an impact from not only girls golf, but also from our LPGA leadership academies. I'll tell a quick story of Zoila Herrera. Zoila is known Zoila for years. She was part of our girls golf Miami group. She comes from a single parent household. At the age of 13, she broke her leg jumping off a trampoline, so she couldn't play a lot of sports, but she could play golf and found her lane in our Girls Golf of Miami program. When she was 14, her mom had a really serious stroke and lost the use of the left side of her body, so she very quickly went from, daughter to caregiver for her mom. And girls golf helped her. It helped her. She was able to participate in girls golf because she was scholarship. So she received dollars for equipment and access. And she, as she grew, became what we call an e-leader. Those are kind of the junior coaches that help the younger girls. And as part of that, she got a scholarship, thanks to our partner in the USGA, to participate in one of our leadership academies. So she was able to go from Miami across country to San Francisco to participate in an ACER-sponsored leadership academy. And it was at that academy where she realized, when she met other girls, that it was possible for her to get a scholarship to go to college, and that golf was going to be her vehicle to do that. So between her coaches and the other girls, she created a dream board and was able to accomplish her dream of attending college and playing golf in college. She went from Miami to West Virginia, to a very small school there, and then rounded it out in 2013 by being an intern and sharing her story and her opportunities at all of our leadership academies that we conduct across the country. So, Zoila is a great example of someone who, because of golf, because of girls golf, was able to do things she would never have done. And, our dream is that every girl has the opportunity to participate in golf regardless of their financial position.
Um, Thank you. That was wonderful. Exactly what I was looking for. um, Nancy, I want to share some overview stats with you. I'm sure you're familiar, maybe our listeners aren't, of just the snapshot of women's golf in the US currently. And some of these really blew me away. So there's approximately 7 million women, or approximately 7 million women and girls played golf on a course in 2023. Females now account for more than 1/4 of the on course golfer population in the US, which is the highest proportion on record ever. Since 2019, the net gain among on course female golfers is 1.4 million. Over that same time period, the number of male participants rose by 900,000. And then among the 45 million Americans who play any kind of golf, on or off the course, a third are female. Now, I know we still have a ways to go, but when you hear those numbers, how does it make you feel? And more importantly, what I want to know is, how are you and the LPGA Foundation removing barriers in the game of golf that are leading to these numbers and will continue to see them rise over time?
Yeah, I'm so excited because, when I took over the foundation in 2010, the statistic that you didn't share, which is interesting, is 15% of all juniors were females for almost 100 years. I mean, it's an incredible statistic. And now we're at 38% of all
Wow.
juniors who play are girls. So, we really believe that the pipeline is girls. And if we can get that girls number to 50% of juniors playing who are girls and 50% boys, that's going to equate to the female numbers that you just spoke to, right? Because it was 80-20 for years and years and years for women in golf. But as we continue to grow the pipeline of girls, that's going to equate to really making sure that the face of golf looks like the rest of the world, not only female, but also diverse. 42% of our girls golf participants are girls of color, something that we're very proud of. And that's been very intentional because the power of invitation is real. So if we're inviting those girls in, and they're in a safe space, they're going to stay and they're going to invite others in that look just like them.
Nancy, you've obviously made an incredible, an indelible mark, I should say, on the game of golf. I want to know, sort of forward looking, what does the future of the LPGA Foundation look like, and what are you personally most excited about?
I'm most excited about our 1 million more campaign. It took us 30 years to get to our first million. We have a really optimistic and aggressive goal of getting our second million by 2030. To do that, we need about $13 million in funding. We're at about 5 million of the 13 that we need to get there. So we're certainly tracking well and tracking well in terms of growing the number of sites, but it's really the dollars that drive that difference. And I just know that, to your point, the more girls we get in that pool, the more that they're going to benefit from that, right? We've seen the statistics of the success of women in business when they have golf in their background, right? To be able to go to those pro-ams, to be able to be in the conversations because they can be on the golf course. So we want to make sure that happens. But definitely, I'm most excited about our next million, and know that we're going to get to that by 2030 with some help from some of our donors.
Yeah, and listen, it's a perfect segue, right? So part of obviously the reason we're here is we are kicking off the second member for a day auction in partnership with the LPGA Foundation. As per usual, you all have amazing experiences. Just a few to highlight: Sleepy Hollow, Bethpage Black, the host of the Ryder Cup next year, Baltusrol with the commissioner herself, which I'm going to be bidding on because I want to play with Molly. But the question I want to ask you, Nancy, is you've obviously played a lot of golf, but every golfer has a bucket list golf course or golf experience. What's the one golf experience that you're still looking forward to play?
Well, it's interesting. When I was looking at the list of all of our packages, which, by the way, there's a lot of them on there. So
Yeah.
our foundation team, Preston Scheidel, certainly our director of philanthropy, has done a really good job securing those packages. One of the ones that I really enjoy is the Dominican Republic. Casa de Campo is a beautiful resort. There's a stay and play there at Casa de Campo, which is an amazing all-inclusive resort. I think it's 8 of the holes are actually on the ocean, so it's a beautiful ocean course. Teeth of the Dog, actually both of theirs have great ocean views. But probably my favorite course I've ever played anywhere in the world would be Old Head. So that was another bucket list trip. I just played the ocean course at Kiowa. That was another kind of bucket list. So I'm slowly making my way through the ones that are on my list to play, but highly recommend taking a look at all the packages we have, and maybe there's a bucket list course on there, like you said, Eric, that you haven't played yet.
Oh, the list is still long for me as well. Um, I was fortunate to check off a few this summer, so I try to be really poignant with my trips. I was lucky enough to play Shinnecock last week, which was really fun. Got my butt kicked, but check that one off the bucket list.
Well,
Um,
Baltusrol is no easy walk in the park either. If you haven't played that one before, it's played my first U.S. Open there in 1985, and it's a tough course. So if you do bid on that one, be ready and listen to Molly because she's got some course knowledge.
I certainly will. Nancy, I just wanted to end this chat by just saying how much of a pleasure it's been to work with you and the whole team, Preston and Nini and Commissioner Molly. Y'all have just been amazing to work with. And I'm just, from a personal perspective, so happy that the platform can be used to give back to girls in golf and hopefully, in a small way, increase that number closer to $13 million that you mentioned before and get another million golfers, girl golfers in the game by 2030. So just thank you for being great. And it's just been such a pleasure to work with y'all since day one.
Thank you, and thanks for being a great partner.
Absolutely. All right, Nancy, I'll let you go. Thank you so much. Keep doing all the amazing things, and we'll see you soon.
Sounds great. Thanks, Eric.